There in Surah 20, Moses sees a fire in the distance. He wants to see what the fire is. He goes to the fire to bring some of the back to start his own fire. As he approaches the fire, he sees it's a burning bush. And then suddenly a voice comes from within the fire, and it says, Moses, Moses, take off your shoes. You're on holy ground. So I turned to the Muslims. I said, now what's that mean? How can this be holy ground? Unless God's there, right? Can it be holy without God being there? Can this be holy right here? He says, no, 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 no. So in order for it to be holy, God has to be there, right? Mm-hmm. So that already surmises that God is there at that burning bush. And I said, if you have any doubt, go to verse 14. Because in verse 14, the voice then comes out of the bush and says, truly, this is Allah who is speaking to you. Now I said to my interlocutors across from me, and I said, okay, now hold on a minute. Is that Allah in that bush? Can anybody take the name of Allah except God himself? Can anybody take on his name? They said, no. Then is Allah in that bush? Is that Allah speaking in that bush? They stopped, and you could see the gears going in their heads. They realized they were in a trap. Because I knew what was happening. They didn't know how to answer that question. If they said, yes, that is Allah, then that means Allah is on earth. If they said, no, that's just his knowledge, then why is he claiming God's name? And why is he claiming the ground is holy? That's a physical presence of God, if it's holy. He says, that's something I don't have an answer for. I said, well, I have an answer for it. And I know where your problem is. You've borrowed a story from the Bible. Don't ever borrow stories from our Bible unless you bring the meaning with it. See, in my Bible, I know that God was in that bush. My God can take on any form he wants. He can take on the form of a cloud. He can take on the form of a fiery pillar. He can take on the form of a burning bush. Please don't borrow our stories unless you get all of God. My God was there in that bush. That was 1400 BC. If God was there in the bush in 1400 BC, then you should have no problem believing that he could come 2,000 years ago and live 33 years on earth. Please don't ever question God's ability to come to earth.
Right.